Hey YouTube, so a couple of weeks ago I made a video regarding Candace Owens. Candace Owens is being sued by the Macron family. Emmanuel Macron is the president of France, and his wife Brigitte Macron, they are suing Candace for defamation of character. Candace had an 8-part series called Becoming Brigitte, where she basically is talking about, she said a lot of things. Apparently the lawsuit is like 200 pages. Candace said a lot of things, but she basically said that Brigitte was born biologically a man and transitioned to a woman. Now, from what has been reported, and I think Candace has said it herself, that she was working with the Macron family behind the scenes because apparently they were trying to get her to stop saying these really nefarious things. Candace didn't want to do it. So look at Candace's reaction when the lawsuit first came about, and then we're going to talk about Candace's reaction 2 days ago. So take a look at this.
You are officially a very goofy man, Brigitte. But I got to give it to you. You've definitely got balls. Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, I'm pretty sure him and his husband, Brigitte, are going to come for my life. But even if you believed that Brigitte Macron was a woman, and I'm telling you she isn't, Brigitte Macron did not exist for the first 30 years of her life. There is no proof that this human being existed for 30 years. Brigitte Macron was actually born Jean-Michel Trogneux. That is the person that you are seeing in this photo here on the far left. Brigitte at first fathered her 3 children and then transitioned into a woman. They even found a series of photos of when Brigitte was a teacher, and she chose to bizarrely cover her neck with a scarf for virtually an entire year. And they're like, this is the exact time that Brigitte got the Adam's apple surgery. I would stake my entire professional career on the fact that Brigitte Macron, the current First Lady of France, was born a man.
You guys see, Candace thought she was Billy Badass. She was basically saying, she doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down, basically saying that Brigitte was born biologically a man and that she wasn't really worried about the lawsuit. She kind of welcomed the lawsuit. And so I was just like, oh, she's really feeling herself. But what the Macrons have done, they filed a lawsuit in Delaware because apparently that's where a lot of Candace's business is, like a lot of her business dealings is in Delaware. And it's being reported that the Macrons went and got the lawyers that got Dominion the $787 million from Fox. These people are not playing with Candace. They are going to take her for everything that she has. Now, I want you guys to take a look at her response 2 days ago, and we're going to talk about it on the other side.
The more that I think about it, the more absurd it is. Now, the Trump administration, who purports to care about free speech, that was what they ran on. Of course, they're not doing any of that stuff anymore. They're creating DEI for Israel and pushing through laws to redefine anti-Semitism. But they pretended to care about free speech, and you had J.D. Vance, who went over there to Europe and gave a whole speech, tisk tisk, to all of you European leaders that are no longer listening to what your constituents want and are instead punishing them for their speech. If the majority of your constituents think something, you can't create laws and punish them. Right? That was kind of the gist of his speech. The markets have decided what they want, and now you're punishing these people. That's crazy, he said. America's going to be a leader. We don't believe in this. We won't support this. Then you have a literal European leader that is basically saying F you to the American Constitution, right? Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte are saying, you know what? We don't like that podcaster in America. And we are going to launch a lawsuit that's never been launched before, an unprecedented lawsuit to impoverish her for speaking. And both J.D. Vance and Trump have not issued a statement. In fact, where are the journalists even asking them to make a statement? Okay, a state leader is speaking about your constituent and launching a lawsuit and saying you're going to impoverish them for executing the First Amendment right. Where are you? If you are Trump, the first thing you should have done, if you purport to care about America and our Constitution, as you're supposed to be the person that's defending that day in and day out, you would come out and you would say, I don't even know whether I believe that she's a man or woman. It doesn't matter, right? I didn't watch the series. Fair. He didn't watch the series. He could even say, like he said to me on the phone, that I looked at her real close on the Eiffel Tower and it looked like a woman to me. Okay, you can say all those things, but you should say it's unacceptable. I'm a leader of this country, and it is unacceptable that this leader would threaten the First Amendment in any way. We don't need Pam Bondi rushing to issue a statement about a college male that's been shoved by a student for wearing an IDF shirt, okay? We don't need the federal government getting involved on something so meaningless. But we might need our federal government when it comes to this, okay? The job of the federal government is to defend us against foreign invaders. And I would pretty much say Emmanuel Macron right now is being a foreign invader. But no, they're silent. They are silent. And that's a pretty loud silence right now. Because like, if I remove myself out of the situation, it is crazy that Trump has been silent on this matter, especially after Emmanuel Macron flew and tried to get Trump to shut me up. He knows what Emmanuel Macron is doing and how desperate he is to do it. So why is he allowing this attack on our speech?
So you're not going to try to have the case dismissed?
I certainly do not want to have the case dismissed.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I've never
and so
heard that
we're having.
before.
I mean, we're having these discussions.
Guys, I just want to linger on this for a moment, having been around a lot of lawsuits. I've never heard anybody sued, particularly they're spending a lot of money on this. Mm-hmm. I've never heard anybody say, I don't want a well-funded case against me to be dismissed.
It's how I feel, and the reason that I feel that way truly,
amazing.
Tucker, is because
you're
this is so much bigger.
How does Macron collect, as a foreign head of state, how does he collect?
There is nothing that we can look at. We are pioneering this, obviously, because this has never happened in the history of the world, that a sitting president of a foreign country has sued a journalist and a podcaster in another country. It's never happened. If I hope the story of Candace Owens over the last 2 years, people have come to understand that money is not my master.
I think that's very obvious.
She's scared because now she's calling on the Trump administration, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance. She's talking about the First Amendment. Let me explain something to you guys, because when I made the video about Candace Owens before, I had so many people commenting and saying there's First Amendment. Yes. In the United States of America, you have a right to say practically anything you want. But just because you can say those things does not mean you will not be held accountable. Does not mean you will not face consequences. You can say what you want, but there will be consequences. And defamation and slander is actually a thing. So you can't just go around and say anything you want and then not have to deal with the consequences. Candace is singing a very different tune. At first, when the lawsuit first happened, she came out like she was so tough and she was welcoming the lawsuit and she wasn't worried about anything. And now she sees that the Macrons are not playing with her. And now she wants to call on Donald Trump. Now, you guys know I am no fan of Donald Trump. But what he has to do with this? Candace, why do he have to come to your aid after you've defamed these people and these people have tried to work with you behind the scenes? But because you thought you were so big, bad, and tough, now you see all the specifications of the lawsuit. You see what these lawyers, if they got the same lawyers that sued Fox for Dominion, Candace, you in trouble. You in trouble, my girl. And you see, I inserted the clip where Tucker Carlson was laughing at her. And I know he was thinking, you dumbass. They're about to drag, Candace. So it's reported that she's worth $5 million. Candace, you in trouble, girl. You in trouble. See, you thought, here's the thing. Let's just talk about Candace Owens just a little bit. We already been talking about it, but we're going to talk about it some more. Candace, when she first came about, Candace was a black agitator, right? She intentionally antagonized black people, said very horrible, nefarious things about black people. And then she started speaking about Israel and the conflict with Israel and all of these things. And so Candace been running that mouth for years. But I think this time, I think this time is the time that she's going to realize that her actions and her speech has consequences. And so, yeah, like I said, I am no fan of Trump. I am no fan of this administration. But this ain't got shit to do with him. Like, you now, because at first you were big and bad, and you weren't worried about anything because you're Candace, you Billy Badass. Now you're singing a different tune, and you're talking about why is it that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance is not stepping in, and this is about the First Amendment, and this. What terminology did she use? She said they're trying to, I guess, silence her. No, people are trying to get you to stop lying on them. You can't lie. You have freedom of speech. You do not have the freedom to defame, slander, and lie on people. So I had a comment when I did the first video, when it first broke out that she was being sued. I did a video, and I had a couple of people in my comments like, Candace is going to embarrass them and she's going to shame. Did you tell Candace that she was going to be able to do all of these things? Because her rhetoric is different now. She seems scared now. Yeah, Candace, you're in trouble, girl. You're in trouble. You're in trouble, and I hope that they take this lawsuit as far as it go. I hope they take you for every dollar, because it is not okay to defame people, to slander people because of your own conspiracy theories and all of this bullshit that you be talking. So now, I hope your lawyers is ready, because you guys are in for a fight. All that woman has to do is prove she's a woman. That's all she has to do. And you lost, and you're gonna lose. Because think about this. Who goes and file a lawsuit if they are truly a trans person? If there's a way to prove, because I'm pretty sure that they knew that they're going to have to prove that she's indeed a woman. From my understanding, this woman has had children. She's going to be able to easily prove she's a woman, and once she proves she's a woman, you lost. And all of that because of your own conspiracy theories. That's the danger of these conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories allows your mind to go wherever you want it to go, so it can validate your unreasonable, illogical, crazy-ass theories. So now you're being sued, and now you're scared. I can tell you're scared because your rhetoric changed. At first, you were ready. You was ready. I'm ready for her, and she got balls and all this and this and that. And now you're like, well, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance not helping me. Why do they need to help you? Why? If you're right, if you can prove you're right, why do you need J.D. Vance and Donald Trump? Candace, I hope they take you for every fucking damn you have. You guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you later. Bye.